Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Niccolò Machiavelli. You've been lied to your entire life, lied to by your teachers, by your parents, by society itself. They told you people are rational. They told you truth wins. They told you honesty is the foundation of respect. But here's the brutal reality. None of that is true. Machiavelli saw through the mask 500 years ago. He wrote The Prince, the most dangerous book ever printed, because it exposed a law so terrifying that the Catholic Church banned it. People don't live by truth. They live by appearances, by illusions, by feelings. And those who understand this rule, those who learn to control what others see and feel, become masters of the game. Everyone else? They become pawns. The death of logic. You've been taught that persuasion is about facts, that if you just explain yourself clearly enough, people will agree, that if you present data, evidence, and logic, the world will reward you. That's the fantasy. Reality is harsher. Logic collapses the second it collides with desire. Truth is invisible when people crave comfort. Think about it. A man begs for advice about his failing relationship, but ignores it because the truth hurts too much. A coworker swears he's broke, yet spends his paycheck on luxuries that make him feel wealthy. A woman claims she wants a nice guy, but falls again and again for the man who stirs her emotions, not the man who makes sense. Humans don't move toward truth. They move toward feeling. And that's why men who rely on logic are ignored, while men who master emotion are obeyed. History's proof. Look at history's manipulators. Hitler didn't seize power by showing spreadsheets. He seized it by igniting anger and hope with fire-filled speeches. Corporations don't sell you their formulas. They sell you happiness, belonging, identity. Religions don't grow by debating philosophy. They grow by stirring fear of damnation and the promise of paradise. And in every case, Machiavelli's law is proven. Appearances matter more than reality. The modern mask. Now look around you. Instagram doesn't show reality. It shows a curated mask designed to trigger envy, lust, and aspiration. Political campaigns don't win because of policy. They win because of theater, imagery, and emotional hooks. Your boss doesn't promote the smartest worker. He promotes the one who makes him feel like a visionary. Even in love, the same pattern repeats. A partner doesn't stay because you list logical reasons why they should. They stay because of how they feel in your presence, protected, excited, desired. And here's the Machiavellian twist. It doesn't matter what you are. It matters what you appear to be. Authenticity, as modern gurus preach it, is a trap. Reveal every weakness, every doubt, every insecurity, and you won't be respected. You'll be pitied. Machiavelli would laugh at the idea. Knew that survival requires masks. Not fake masks, but strategic authenticity, revealing only what serves your image, concealing what would destroy it. The first dark law. So here is your first ruthless law of power. Stop trying to change minds with facts. Start shaping emotions. Want to dominate in business? Don't flood investors with data. Craft a story that makes them feel you're the inevitable winner. Want to influence a partner? Don't argue with logic. Make them fear losing you or feel the thrill of pleasing you. Want to lead? Don't obsess over proving you're right. Make people feel you're right. The man who argues with facts is a teacher. The man who controls emotions is a ruler. The uncomfortable question. But this knowledge is dangerous because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you realize every smile may be a mask, every promise a lure, every handshake a performance, you will never look at human interaction the same way again. So I'll ask you, would you rather live comforted by lies or armed with ruthless truth? Most will choose lies. They want the world soft, safe, and idealistic. But if you're here, watching, listening, You already sense the truth is darker. And that darkness can make you dangerous, because if you don't control appearances, someone else will. If you don't shape emotions, someone else will shape yours. And once you fall under their spell, you won't even know it's happening. The path forward, this is the fork in the road. On one side, comfort, weakness, illusion. On the other, clarity, strength, power. Which side will you take? Because this is only the first step. If you understand that humans are not rational, that they are prey to feelings, you've already lifted the first veil. But Machiavelli's warnings didn't stop there. The next lesson is harsher. If people are driven by feelings, then the world itself is a jungle, and in every jungle, you are either predator or prey. Which one are you? It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Niccolò Machiavelli. Forget everything society drilled into you about being nice, about being agreeable, about getting along. Strip away the polished smiles, polite manners, and inspirational slogans, and the world reduces to one brutal law: predators and prey. The strong take, the weak are taken from. It was true in the wilderness, it's true in the boardroom, it's true in love. And if you refuse to see it, you've already chosen your role. You're the prey. Weakness as blood in the water. Weakness doesn't just fail to protect you, it advertises you as food. Think of the schoolyard bully. Does he target the fighter or the kid who lowers his head? Think of corporations. When layoffs come, do they cut the indispensable rainmaker or the timid employee who quietly obeys? Think of relationships. How many women leave the man who bends over backwards for them only to cling to the man who stands firm? Even when he's harsh, predators are efficient. They pick the easy meal, and weakness makes you an easy meal. Machiavelli's brutal clarity still cuts centuries later. Fear is more reliable than love. Love is fragile. Fear endures. A man who inspires fear is rarely betrayed. A man who relies only on love is already doomed. Weakness infects everyone around you. Here's what few people admit. Weakness doesn't just destroy you, it drains everyone near you. A weak man leans on others, sapping their strength. He forces the strong to carry him until they either abandon him or collapse with him. A weak man is a burden disguised as a friend, a liability disguised as a partner. Even worse, weakness attracts predators who don't stop after devouring one victim. Once they taste blood, they search for the next. Stand too close to the weak, and you're next in line. That's why Machiavelli saw weakness as more dangerous than cruelty. At least a cruel man stands on his own. A weak man becomes a black hole, dragging everyone into destruction with him. The lie of harmlessness. Modern society tells men to be soft, harmless, and agreeable. They call it sensitivity. They call it morality. But the man who cannot defend himself, his reputation, or those who depend on him is not good. He is dangerous to himself and everyone who relies on him. Goodness without strength is meaningless. Harmlessness is not virtue, it is weakness, and weakness is always punished. The aura of the predator. Strength is not just physical, it is psychological. It is presence, the way you walk into a room and people instinctively adjust. The way silence falls when you choose to speak. The way eyes avoid yours because they sense gravity. That's the aura of the predator. He doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need to beg. His confidence bends others unconsciously because they feel that testing him carries a price. This is why women chase men who radiate strength. Instinct tells them weakness cannot protect. This is why crowds rally behind bold leaders even when they disagree with them. People would rather follow strength they fear than weakness they pity. Ask yourself, when others look at you, do they see a hunter or prey? Proof in history. Look at history's giants: Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Napoleon. Were they nice guys? Were they loved? Sometimes, but they were always feared and respected. Their mercy meant something because it came from a foundation of strength. They could afford generosity because betrayal carried consequences. Now look at modern power players: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs. Do you think they built empires by being harmless? Not a chance. They dominated markets by radiating strength, by refusing to bend, by striking fear into competitors and awe into followers. Strength creates empires. Weakness breeds victims. Nice guys versus good men. This is where men get confused. They think niceness equals goodness. They think being agreeable, avoiding conflict, and pleasing others will earn respect. But Machiavelli warned us, men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims. Nice guys are not respected. They're tolerated, used, ignored. Goodness, by contrast, requires strength. A good man is capable of cruelty but chooses restraint. A good man speaks uncomfortable truths, defends principles, and accepts being hated if necessary. The difference is simple. Nice men beg for approval. Good men command respect, and only one of those paths leads to power. The predator's choice. So here's the ruthless law. Stop trying to be liked. Start demanding to be respected. Because in the end, you face three fates: to be feared, to be loved, or to be ignored. And the worst fate is to be ignored, because it means you are irrelevant. Ask yourself right now, when people think of you, do they think safe, or do they think don't cross him? Engagement. Trigger. Here's my question for you, and I want your honest answer. Would you rather be feared or be loved? Drop your choice in the comments. This isn't just a debate. This is a test of who you are. Because whether you like it or not, you're already playing the game. Either you radiate enough strength to set the rules, or you quietly accept the rules set by someone else. And that brings us to Machiavelli's next warning: the illusion of loyalty. Because even strength can be betrayed. Even kings have been stabbed in the back by those who swore allegiance. And the man who doesn't understand loyalty's fragility will lose everything. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Niccolò Machiavelli. Every father, every teacher, every motivational speaker preaches the same doctrine. Loyalty is everything. Be loyal to your friends. Be loyal to your company. Be loyal to your partner. Society wraps loyalty in golden words and calls it virtue. But Machiavelli stripped away the illusion. He saw loyalty for what it really is: fragile, conditional, and temporary. Loyalty's shattered mask. Think back to your own life. How many loyal friends disappeared the moment you lost status or money? How many companies swore you were family right up until the layoffs came? How many lovers promised forever, only to leave when the next opportunity appeared? You've seen it. You just didn't want to face it. Here's the brutal truth. Loyalty lasts only as long as it serves someone's interests. Once that contract breaks, loyalty dissolves like smoke. The friend who calls only when he needs something isn't loyal. He's opportunistic. The company that discards you to protect profits isn't loyal. It's calculating. The partner who clings when you're strong but strays when you're weak isn't devoted. They're pragmatic. This isn't cynicism, it's reality. The fool's loyalty. The weak man clings to loyalty no matter what. He gives endlessly, hoping his devotion will be rewarded. He forgives betrayal, making excuses, convincing himself the other person didn't mean it. He thinks unconditional loyalty makes him virtuous, but it doesn't. It makes him a fool. And fools, Machiavelli warned us, are made to be used. Strategic loyalty. The strong man, the Machiavellian, understands that loyalty is strategic. He gives it where it's earned. He rewards it when it's proven. And the moment it's broken, he withdraws it without hesitation. He knows loyalty is a contract, not a chain. And contracts are only binding as long as both sides honor them. Look at history. Kings who trusted blindly were assassinated. Generals who believed their soldiers' love would protect them were betrayed. Leaders who leaned too heavily on devotion instead of fear were devoured by the very people who swore allegiance. Survivors practiced balance, rewarding loyalty when it was real, but never trusting it blindly. Modern proof. In modern life, the law repeats itself everywhere. In business, employees leave for better offers. Companies cut staff to raise stock prices. Loyalty ends where profit begins. In friendships, the moment you fall, many friends disappear. Their loyalty was to your status, not to you. In relationships, love often comes with conditions. As long as you fulfill my needs. When you don't, loyalty crumbles. The man who clings to one-sided loyalty destroys himself. He becomes a slave who keeps feeding people who bleed him dry. Reputation over loyalty. So what truly protects a man if loyalty is fragile? Machiavelli's answer, reputation. Reputation is armor. It is the myth that walks into the room before you do. A strong reputation makes people hesitate to betray you. It makes rivals think twice. It makes betrayal dangerous. Think of Alexander the Great. He spread the legend of his invincibility so powerfully that enemies surrendered before a single sword was drawn. Think of Steve Jobs. His reality distortion field was so strong that investors, employees, even rivals treated him as untouchable. Compare that to the man who constantly begs for loyalty, who whines about betrayal, who tries desperately to prove his good intentions. He isn't respected, he's pitied, and pitied men are quickly destroyed. The wolf's code loyalty is not blind devotion. It's the code of wolves. Walk beside those who prove themselves and bare your teeth the moment they don't. Blind loyalty is slavery, and slaves break under the weight of betrayal. So the Machiavellian law is clear. Reward loyalty, but never depend on it. Test it, measure it, and withdraw it the moment it vanishes. Engagement. Trigger. Now let me ask you directly. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you thought was loyal? A friend, a partner, even a company? Share your story in the comments, because every betrayal teaches the same lesson. Loyalty is never as solid as you think. Transition to war. So remember, the tyrant demands loyalty without giving it. The fool gives loyalty without receiving it. Both fall. The survivor is the one who understands loyalty's true nature: fragile, conditional, temporary. He arms himself not with blind faith, but with reputation strong enough to command respect and fear. But even reputation isn't enough, because no matter how strong your image, there will always be rivals who want to tear it down. There will always be enemies sharpening knives in the dark. And that leads us to Machiavelli's next warning. There is no avoiding war. You are already in one. The only question is whether you're prepared or whether you'll be devoured when the attack comes. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. Niccolò Machiavelli. Most people believe peace is the norm and war is the exception. They live as if life will remain calm, as if threats appear only once in a while. Machiavelli laughed at that illusion. He knew the truth. War is constant. Conflict isn't something that might happen. Conflict is happening right now, in whispers, in silence, in shadows. You just don't see it. By the time most men realize they're at war, the battle has already been lost. Life is a battlefield. Look at your career. Do you think every co-worker secretly wants you to succeed? Of course not. Your promotion means their loss. They're watching you, waiting for you to stumble. Look at your relationships. If you grow weak or complacent, someone else is ready to take your place. Another man waits for your mistakes. Another woman waits for your indifference. Look at politics. Nations spy, manipulate, infiltrate, all during so-called peace. By the time bombs fall, the real war has already been fought in secrets and deals. The truth is simple. If you are not preparing for war, you are preparing to lose. The lion and the fox Machiavelli captured this law with his most famous parable. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Most men pick one side. They are clever but weak, like the fox that sees danger but cannot fight it. Or they are strong but blind, like the lion that charges forward into traps. But the Machiavellian man is both, cunning enough to detect deception and strong enough to crush it when it appears. He smiles with the fox's charm, then strikes with the lion's force. Business as war. Look at Amazon. It didn't wait for competitors to rise. It prepared in advance, stockpiling cash, dominating logistics, crushing rivals before they grew strong. That's not business. That's war. Or Apple. It doesn't compete with endless price cuts. It builds empires by controlling ecosystems, locking customers in with prestige and status. That's not marketing. That's empire building. Every great company wages war. Sometimes with lawsuits, sometimes with mergers, sometimes with propaganda, but always with the same goal: eliminate rivals before they eliminate you. Politics as war nations understand this. They prepare during peace. They infiltrate through espionage, cyber attacks, propaganda, and deals long before open conflict erupts. By the time armies march, the outcome has already been decided. Even democracy is war disguised as civility. Elections are not battles of truth, but wars of perception. Politicians craft narratives, weaponize imagery, and manipulate emotions, not to tell the truth, but to win the war of belief. Relationships as war, even love, is a battlefield. If you neglect your role, someone else will happily step into it. Affairs, betrayals, replacements, they don't come from destiny. They come from complacency. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers never to rely on love alone. Love fades, desire wanders, but fear, the fear of losing you, the fear of disappointing you, lasts longer than passion. The law of readiness. A warrior doesn't sharpen his sword when the enemy arrives. He sharpens it every day. That is how you must live. Train when no one is watching. Save money when everyone else spends. Learn when others waste time. Build alliances before you need them. Then, when conflict comes, you aren't scrambling. You're already ready. Weak men live reactively. They wait until betrayal happens, until layoffs hit, until relationships collapse. By then, it's too late. Strong men prepare long before the storm arrives. The power of deception. But strength alone isn't enough. Machiavelli revealed another ruthless law. Deception is survival. He wrote that every ruler must learn how not to be good, and that promises can and must be broken when survival demands it. This wasn't cynicism, it was recognition of reality. Look at nature. The fox pretends weakness to lure prey. The snake camouflages itself before striking. The anglerfish waves a false light to draw victims into its jaws. Humans do the same. Politicians promise paradise and deliver chaos. Corporations promise happiness and deliver addiction. Lovers promise forever and mean it only until something changes. The man who refuses to deceive isn't noble. He's prey. Controlled deception. Does this mean you should lie constantly, betray everyone, and manipulate recklessly? No, that's stupidity disguised as cunning. The Machiavellian practices controlled deception. He wears masks when it serves him, hides knives when they must stay hidden, and tells truth only when truth strengthens him. Deception, when used with discipline, isn't corruption. It's armor, it's camouflage, it's survival. Engagement trigger. So let me put the blade in your hand. If everyone is already deceiving, politicians, companies, even lovers. Do you think it's wiser to cling to honesty or to master deception yourself? Answer in the comments. Because the game is being played whether you like it or not. The only choice is whether you're the hunter or the prey. Transition to morality. Now you see why Machiavelli insisted that strength, cunning, and deception are not luxuries. They are necessities. But one illusion still enslaves most men: morality. We are told that good and evil are absolute, that justice always wins, that the righteous are rewarded. But Machiavelli shattered that illusion too. He revealed morality as what it truly is, not truth, but a weapon wielded by the powerful. And in the final lesson, we'll tear away that last mask. A prince must learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge or not use it according to necessity. Niccolò Machiavelli. From childhood, you were fed a sweet lie, that good always triumphs, that honesty brings respect, that morality is eternal and absolute. But Machiavelli tore this illusion apart. He knew morality isn't truth, it's narrative, a mask crafted by the powerful to chain the weak. The manufactured illusion of morality. Ask yourself, who decides what's moral? Not you, not the masses, always the powerful. When rulers demand obedience, they call it virtue. When leaders demand sacrifice, they call it honor. When governments demand control, they redefine rebellion as evil. The people swallow it whole because believing in morality feels safe. It makes them think the universe is fair, that justice always wins. But history spits on that fantasy. The church burned heretics alive in the name of morality. Empires enslaved millions while preaching civilization. Modern states bomb cities and call it defending freedom. Morality isn't truth. Morality is a leash, the double standard of the powerful. Here's the cruelest twist: the powerful rarely obey the morality they impose. They tell you it's wrong to lie while deceiving daily. They tell you it's wrong to be ruthless while crushing competitors. They tell you it's wrong to be selfish while hoarding wealth. Why? Because a population that believes in absolute morality polices itself. The weak scold each other. The obedient enforce the leash on one another. Meanwhile, the rulers break the rules whenever survival demands it. This is why Machiavelli warned, don't become a prisoner of morality. Wield it. Appear moral when it serves you. Break morality when survival requires it. The real engine: fear and reward. So if morality is illusion, what truly drives people? Machiavelli answered with clarity: fear and reward. Strip away religion, politics, business, and you'll find the same machine underneath. Kings hold crowns because people fear their wrath more than they hate their rule. Corporations control workers through the carrot of promotion and the whip of unemployment. Parents shape children with rewards and punishments, not with pure wisdom. This is the raw law of power. He who controls fear and reward controls people. The balance of power. But here's the nuance: lean too far on one side and you collapse. Leaders who give only rewards breed entitlement. Their gifts lose value. Their followers grow lazy. Leaders who rule only with fear invite rebellion. Hatred builds until it explodes. Machiavelli's genius was in balance. Alternate fear and reward. Withhold affection until it creates hunger, then give it at the peak of desire. Punish betrayal swiftly, then reward loyalty generously. This cycle creates loyalty stronger than chains because people become addicted to it. Think of abusive relationships where cruelty alternates with tenderness. Think of tyrants who survive decades in power by punishing just enough to inspire fear while rewarding just enough to prevent despair. That balance is Machiavellian mastery. The fragility of trust. And now the final law: trust. Most men believe trust is stone, permanent, unshakable, but Machiavelli revealed the truth. Trust is glass, beautiful, reflective, but fragile. One crack, and it shatters forever. Trust exists only as long as both sides benefit. Break the benefit, and trust vanishes instantly. The weak beg for trust. They make oaths. They plead. They demand belief. But when trust shatters, they collapse. The strong, however, don't depend on trust. They manufacture it. They project reliability. They control appearances. They use repetition until others feel they can trust. It doesn't need to be real. It only needs to be convincing, because the man who trusts blindly is the easiest to control. He forgives betrayal. He believes excuses. He clings to illusions long after they've died. Blind trust is the leash around his own neck. The final reckoning. Now the mask is gone. You've seen every law Machiavelli left us. People are emotional, not rational. Weakness attracts predators. Niceness is not goodness. Loyalty is fragile. Reputation is armor. Conflict is constant. Readiness is survival. Deception is strategy, not corruption. Morality is a cage, not a truth. Fear and reward are the currencies of power. Trust is not stone, it is glass. This is the world as it is, not as stories told you it would be. Engagement trigger. So I'll ask you, was Machiavelli right, or was he too ruthless? Drop your answer in the comments. Debate it, because this isn't just theory. It's your life, your survival, your future. Knowledge as a weapon. Here's your final warning. Knowledge like this is a weapon. In the hands of the weak, it breeds paranoia and despair. But in the hands of the strong, it becomes power. The kind of power that bends the world. If you're strong enough, carry it forward. If you're not, bury it and pretend you never heard these words. Because once you've seen the truth, you cannot unsee it. This channel is for those who dare to see reality for what it is, not for what we wish it to be. So, subscribe to Ruthless Psychology. Join the community that uncovers the hidden rules of power and prepare for the lessons ahead. Because this was only the beginning. The blueprints Machiavelli left us on dominance, seduction, survival, and influence are still waiting. And when you master them, you will not just survive. You will become untouchable. And when that happens, you will never be ignored.